speak very briefly this morning since we have a lot of music today. This idea that God is always with us, that we are always in the presence of God, is very important to remember, because sometimes we forget, a lot of the time we forget, when we're busy doing whatever we do, God is the farthest thing from our minds. But this whole spiritual path is a remembrance that God is there, that we are always living in God's presence. And to become more and more aware of that presence is truly our only job. And so as we go through this season, especially this time of inwardness and inspiration, let's try to remember that that presence is our constant companion. And the more compassion that we have for other people, the more we will understand them, and the more that we will feel one with them, and that God is interacting with us through them. We had a beautiful Christmas party, World Brotherhood Day, yesterday, and it was especially inspirational. The music was so beautiful. The food was divine. And it was just nurturing on all levels. And as we were doing the blessing ceremony, I've deeply felt that if we can stay in that consciousness of gratitude and joy, we will be happy with everybody. There's nobody that we can't get along with, that we can't love, that we can't feel compassion for, that we can't feel oneness with. And I sometimes think that as Ananda, we're just in the business of creating those kinds of events that bring us up into that vibration where we all want to stay. We all want to live in that consciousness. And the more that we can do that, the happier we will be, and the more that we'll feel one with God in everyone we meet. God bless you.
This Sunday, it feels like music is the better part of valor as far as communicating the message. You know, in the Christmas carols that we sang and that we sing in general, that we think of, often it's expressed some message of praising God, or sort of this sense of adoration. And I don't know about you, but I often sort of wondered, I mean, I always loved the music, all the way from childhood. I appreciated the message and the vibration of the music, but intellectually I never quite understood the praising. Master had a colorful way of putting it. He said it, if he heard people speaking that way, it made him think of God as a pampered old lady that one needed to offer bonbons to or something. and it isn't quite that somehow. But you know, language changes over the years and the centuries especially. And when you have a divine experience, you realize that words don't really convey it. They can't really communicate it. You can sort of make a vague approximation of it, but otherwise there really isn't that much that you can communicate. And so it is with the spiritual teachings. When you're in the vibration of Om, when you hear in a song like Angels We Have Heard on High, angels are singing the night that Christ is born. There's this angelic presence. Well, you have to capture that in words if you're going to sing it in a song. But the vibration of it is you're enveloped in this blessing. You're enveloped in this energy, this sound, this joy that just wells up automatically from within. And I don't know about you, but I would say for most people on this planet, that's an unusual experience. And one that we would all aspire to have more often. And today's readings touch on that all of this has to be practical. And I can say from living with Swami Kriyananda, he was not an idle dreamer. He created communities in a very practical way, all the way from the bylaws down to the day-to-day living and jobs and how to earn a living and how to have enough food stored in case there was some natural disaster or whatever. I mean, on very practical levels. He didn't just stay lost in deep meditation, communing with God. He brought it down to how do you walk that walk in daily life, one step at a time. And I'd like to sing a song that captures a little bit of this. And it's one that we try to do once during the Christmas season. And it's such a dear, beautiful song. This is The Shawl of Gold. Little girl walking in the cold, her clothing all tattered and thin, spied a rich man standing outside a church, outside a church, outside a church, spied a rich man standing outside a church. The service about to begin. Kind sir, she said, hear an orphan child. The cold winds of winter have come. I've no place to live, not in all the world. Oh, help me find work in some home. Rich man frowned, don't you hear that hymn? Good people have gathered in prayer. It's a day for worship, impious girl, impious girl, oh impious girl. It's a day for worship, impious girl. Don't speak here of earthly affairs. He turned then and entered the holy church. The girl wandered down the cold street, and there all at once she beheld a small boy, no jacket, no shoes for his feet. His clothing was shabby, as worn as her own. He shivered against a closed door. Alas, he cried, none will take me in. Take me in, none will take me in. Alas, he cried, none will take me in. Though I'm starving and cold, for I'm poor, it's bitter with no friends to live. Here, please take my shot, it's all I can spare. Though it's shameful, so little to give. She wrapped him all up in the flimsy cloth and kissed him forehead and smiled. Suddenly a warmth like a summer breeze like a summer breeze. Suddenly a warmth like a summer breeze encircled this poor girl and child, and a tender voice said, "My daughter, I'm here. No more shall you weep without friends. For in yonder church there's no love like yours. Those with pure hearts, their needs I attend." My child, all men's sorrows would turn to joy. They knew that to share is no loss, for its kindness softens the human heart. Human heart, the human heart, for its kindness softens the human heart. I know I who died on the cross. Worship means but love, and my love you found by your gift to me here in the cold. And she saw their clothes were now worn and worn, and shawls spun of fine gold. Everything that we offer from our hearts to God is blessed, just as the song suggests. And it happens in very mundane ways and in very mundane situations. And maybe our lives are not quite as dramatic as the little girl out on the street in the rain. We're thrilled to have some rain. But all of us, in one way or another, are called upon to expand beyond the limits that we've known in our lives so far, or perhaps I should say the limits that we've created around ourselves. And we have to break through that. I appreciate that Swamiji, throughout his life, always tried to stretch our sense of where we could go, or what we could do, or how much we could accomplish. And I remember years ago when Nirmala and I worked in the publishing house at Ananda, and Swamiji was just a fountain of creativity and was always writing a new book. And if he wasn't writing a new book, he was writing new music. And if he wasn't writing new music, he was scheming up some new outreach plan. And there was no end to it. And sometimes we would have released a new book and he would already have finished the next book that we hadn't even publicized the first one, and he was already on to the next one, and he'd finished it, and when was that one going to come out, and could we? And he had this amazing, I have to say at the time it was a little annoying, but he had this amazing gift for every book had to be marketed in a new way. It wasn't enough to do it, all the things that we had learned from the last one. So now we feel like we really got it together. And then he would come up with a whole new idea. Well, why don't we send it out to the schools? Or why don't we go into, this arena or that arena? It was amazing and inspiring and challenging all at the same time. Because in our lives, it's very easy to be that rich man in the song. It's very easy to just, the little girl comes up and you just say, you know what, I just don't have time for that. I'm sorry. We're about to have this special thing and, take your life and go somewhere else with it. And yet, all of us have the chance to serve in some way, to give in some way in this world. And all of us, that will be our blessing. That will be what we can carry with us throughout this lifetime and beyond this lifetime. There's nothing else of this world that we can take with us when we leave it, but we can take the consciousness that we've built. We can take the energy, the magnetism, the joy, the blessing that we've experienced, which is to say, the blessing that we've given, the blessing that has moved through us, the blessing that we have given away freely and from the love of our hearts. That we can take with us. And you might even say that's about the only thing we can take with us. But what joy can be ours? And that's something that Master and Swamiji have given to us repeatedly and in so many ways. And in this Christmas season, we feel especially blessed to live in a culture where this is expressed more freely and more energetically among everyone, but it doesn't have to start and end with this season. It can be all seasons. And so let us live that joy. And I just want to add my little tiny pitch for, in this Christmas season, have Christ. We used to say, remember the reason for the season. And that's fine, but the reason isn't something you can explain in words. You have to experience it. Have Christ, which is to say have deep, deep communion. The social part is fantastic. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's so joyful to be with friends and family and to share gifts and to share, every good holiday comes with a feast in the Christian tradition. There's the Feast of Stephen, and there's, Christmas, Christ Mass. It's a feast. It's a celebration on all levels. We get to have a good meal too. But have the meal behind the meal, which is why Master put this all-day meditation. They would do it on the 23rd, so we're doing it on the 23rd. But we're also doing an alternate one this coming Saturday. Come to one or both of those and have that deep, deep inward communion. This temple is a holy shrine in those days. This temple is the creche scene. And I don't just mean on Christmas Eve. Yes, we will have a live creche scene here on Christmas Eve. But the deepest creche is the one that happens in your own heart, in deep stillness. Have that. Worship at that altar. And this Christmas season will be deeply, deeply blessed.